Tonight at the kickoff for the Carnaval du Québec, one of the world's largest winter festivals. Why this year's celebration is hoping to draw record crowds.
To every carnival goers, every tourist here in Quebec, a happy carnival!
Plus, on the hallowed ground of the Plains of Abraham, what the pivotal battle can teach us about the future. Team Canada's grand entrance at the Winter Olympics.
Bucket list, definitely. To see all the different athletes from all the different countries is so exciting.
What makes these games so unique? And a symbolic show of solidarity in the Arctic.
It's quite emotional. It's a great feeling.
The significance of opening a new Canadian consulate in Greenland.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina, reporting tonight from Quebec City.
Good evening. We are coming to you tonight from the famous Ice Palace, home to Bonhomme Carnaval, the official ambassador for one of the largest winter festivals in the world. A celebration of culture and resilience, of who we are as a people at a time when Canada is sharing it with the world. We have team coverage tonight with Quebec Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin right here in Quebec City. Weekend anchor Heather Butts on opening day of the Olympics in Italy, and Abigail Beeman in Greenland. But we begin tonight with the Carnaval kickoff party right here behind me.
There we go!
The annual winter celebration has become a jubilant fixture of Quebec culture. And over the next 10 days, more than 500,000 people are expected to experience its magic.
Bonjour, bonhomme! Ça va très bien. Grand plaisir.
The star of the show, Bonhomme Carnaval, a symbol of Quebec's joie de vivre.
I wish to every carnival goers, every tourist here in Quebec, a happy carnival!
During winter, it's a more rough time for people. It's colder and stuff. Bonhomme brings joy and happiness to everybody.
Bonhomme's Palace is made of 3,000 blocks of ice, each one weighing 300 pounds, made with a special technique to make sure they stay clear. The tallest part, nearly 11 meters high. Is there ever a danger of one of these massive chunks of ice ever falling?
No, there's not.
We're sure?
Yeah, I'm sure. We're working with engineers to make sure that they've specialized in ice and snow over the past years and check the palace and make sure everything is safe for everybody to enjoy.
This year, organizers hope the chill in the Canada-U.S. relationship leads to a record year for attendance, building on a domestic tourism boom already being observed. In-country travel by Canadians was up 9% in the third quarter of 2025 compared to a year ago.
We decided to come here this year just because we wanted to go somewhere local, and it was something that we'd never experienced before.
But it's not just local tourists making the trek.
Love Canada.
Is it your first time?
First time ever in Canada, yeah.
We literally just Googled magical cities with snow, and this is at the top of the list.
Alexia Lulo and Saeed Tabibi traded the sunshine of Miami for the snow to celebrate her birthday on Saturday and an early Valentine's Day. Did you even have winter gear before you left?
No winter
So how'd you
gear.
get it?
I went online, I ChatGPT best gear for sub-zero temperatures, and this is what I came up. This is what it came up with.
She's all new from head to toe.
This is all new from head to toe.
Quebec City's mayor hopes those who visit his city during the celebrations also remember the warmth of its people.
Snow is gold, is our gold. And it is something that I would say very precious. And that's why Quebec City, as a winter city, has those huge number of tourists coming in.
And right across from me is Quebec's National Assembly, a province potentially on the verge of a major political shakeup. Bureau Chief Geneviève Beauchemin joins me now. Geneviève, tell us about the race to lead the province and the re-emergence of a tense debate.
Well, Omar, Quebecers have big choices to make in the year to come, with the potential of a referendum in this province the highest it's been in years.
Among the broken ice of the St. Lawrence ice canoe teams trained for a grueling race, first run of the Quebec Carnival in 1894. While a stone's throw away at the National Assembly, another high-stakes race is shaping up.
Un Québec indépendant.
Parti québécois leader Paul Saint-Pierre Plamondon is leading in the polls for the October election. promising to hold a referendum within his first term. The now governing Coalition Avenir Quebec and the Quebec Liberals will have new leaders.
The boomers are gone now, and all the new leaders are part of Generation X or even some of the older millennial cohorts. So it's a very different landscape.
But the big wild card is U.S. President Donald Trump. Analysts expect he will lean in.
We know what's happening with Alberta right now, where the U.S. administration is getting directly involved. We can expect the same to happen in Quebec.
Quebecers, he says, also dislike other politicians from outside the province commenting.
La collaboration plutôt que la division.
Prime Minister Mark Carney's speech in Quebec City last month sparked criticism, denounced as too rosy a look at how the Battle of the Plains of Abraham shaped Quebec's history. Still, despite the PQ's lead, polls show support for sovereignty is low, with up to 2/3 siding with the no side. And some politicians have said this is the worst time in the last 50 years to hold a referendum, with uncertainty in the world.
I think every province could do better decisions if they could decide for themselves what is best for them.
But as talk of a referendum revs up, sovereignist students are mobilizing. Some in a generation that never voted in a referendum say that precisely because of the uncertainty, they want a say.
Canada is a big country, and it's still not able to protect us from everything that Trump is doing. So at least if we were Quebec as a country and able to make our own decisions, it would be more representative of what we want and what is best for us.
Polls suggest that's a minority position even for young Quebecers, but people will be choosing a new leader here in this province in October based on a variety of issues. Omar.
All right, Genevieve, thank you. Stay warm. And let's get to CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapellos, now in Ottawa. Vashi, tell us how serious the threat is and what's being done about it.
Hi, Omar. Well, despite, as Genevieve put it, the faux pas of the Plains of Abraham speech, I have to tell you, every conversation I have with anyone in and around the Prime Minister, they do convey to me a level of seriousness, of concern about the prospect of Quebec sovereignty rearing its head again through the election process and through what's happened so far. They're already dealing with the possibility of something materializing in Alberta, and they view the two things as something not to make light of, not to underestimate. And I will say the same is true of opposition parties, particularly the opposition Conservatives, who think this could be a big deal as well. Despite low levels of public opinion support in the province, as Genevieve points out, these things have a habit of turning into something. And so I do think that that is kind of at the top of mind of every political decision maker in the halls of power in this country. When you're already facing one big threat externally, the last thing you want is another one on national unity internally. Omar?
All right, Vashi, thank you. And later in the show, we'll take a walk on the Plains of Abraham for some lessons from the past. Well, the 2026 Winter Games are officially underway, and for the first time, the opening ceremony was a multi-site event spread across northern Italy. The central hub was San Siro Stadium in Milan, where Canada's athletes received a roaring welcome. There were additional ceremonies and athlete parades in Predazzo, Cortina d'Ampezzo, and in Livorno, where flag bearers and former Olympic champions Michael Kingsbury and Marielle Thompson led a smaller Canadian contingent. The opening ceremony is always a highlight of any Olympic Games, full of pomp and circumstance. CTV's Heather Butts is in Milan, one of the host cities, taking it all in. And Heather, what's the energy like in that city tonight?
Omar, there's a real energy to the city, years of preparation for organizers, athletes, and people who have come to watch, and it's all now officially underway. Meeting this crew from the Netherlands, already a highlight for Ontario's Marga Wilson during her Olympic experience.
Bucket list, definitely. To see all the different athletes from all the different countries is so exciting.
The Olympic motto, after all, is about celebrating the unifying power of sport.
I'm hoping Canada goes gold, but we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, you met some Czech hockey player at the airport yesterday. So you did wish him luck, but secretly he said not too much luck.
A unique aspect of these games is how spread out the events are. Organizers wanted to use existing infrastructure as much as possible, but this means no central hub.
It's missing a little bit of snow, to be honest. Canada would be better to host them, but it's nice to be in the city. I feel like in the mountains it'll feel like more of the Winter Olympics.
I was kind of hoping to see a little bit more like fan zones here, and I didn't quite see that, but maybe they're just spread out more through like Cortina and Livigno, so we'll see.
Competitions are taking place all over northern Italy, making this the most widespread Olympic sports setup in history. The games will span over 22,000 square kilometers. A trip between Milan and Cortina could take upwards of 6 hours. It means not all of Team Canada's athletes will be in the same village or region throughout the games.
You know, giving a high five to an athlete in another sport, or even the gentle smile when you're under such pressure, can make a huge difference.
Olympic champion and Canada's chef de mission Jennifer Heil admits it will be a different experience, but the team is turning to technology with video chats and highlight reels to help unite them.
I think there's a trade-off between, you know, the positive and the negative. I think for the Olympic movement, it's very positive that we're going to venues that already exist that make it more sustainable and easier to host.
The last time Italy hosted the Winter Games in Turin in 2006, medal ceremonies were held each day in the center of the city, creating a buzz, adding to the Olympic spirit. Because of the distance, this year medal ceremonies will be held at the venues immediately following the competitions. Omar.
All right, Heather, enjoy the games. Thank you. Closer to home, Pennsylvania prosecutors are withdrawing a felony aggravated assault charge against Canadian hockey player and top NHL prospect Gavin McKenna. McKenna plays for Penn State and is accused of punching another man outside a bar after what investigators called an exchange of words between two groups. The victim suffered multiple jaw fractures. After reviewing video evidence, prosecutors say McKenna did not act with the intent to cause serious bodily harm. Court records show McKenna is still facing a misdemeanor charge of assault. The 18-year-old from Whitehorse is projected to be the #1 overall pick in this year's NHL draft. Canada now officially has a consulate in Greenland, which may not seem like a big deal, but as CTV's Abigail Beeman explains from Nuuk tonight, it's a symbolic move of support during a difficult time.
More than 100 people on hand for the official opening of Canada's consulate in Greenland. The majority Canadian Inuit who want to show they support Greenlanders in the face of Donald Trump's threats.
It's quite emotional. It's a great feeling. It's good to be here. Unity, Inuit together.
As Inuit, we are one people. It doesn't matter which country we're from, we're all the same.
May I ask how you have felt about 51st state comments from the American president?
Personally, I felt that it was something that shouldn't even be discussed.
Governor General Mary Simon sat down for an interview with CTV News in Nuuk. As an Inuit person, she says her personal connection to Greenland is long-standing, stressing the message Inuit across Canada and Greenland are one.
None of us are really immune to some of the comments that have been made over the last 8 months or so, and you know, it's not over. It's not gone.
Global Affairs Canada won't let us inside to actually show you what the interior of the consulate looks like, but we know that the Government of Canada shares this building with Iceland. There are not many countries that have a consulate here in Nuuk. France is also opening one.
To be able to be here when the people of Greenland are concerned and anxious is wonderful.
The Foreign Affairs Minister wouldn't directly answer CTV News about whether opening the new consulate risks angering Trump. But a retired U.S. diplomat involved in the opening of the American consulate in Nuuk during the first Trump administration had this to say.
Well, I think it's worth it. I mean, I think it's a good idea. I don't think it's a move that should be taken as threatening by the United States, certainly in any way.
While the government is quick to point out this consulate was promised more than a year ago, they still haven't appointed a permanent consul here just yet. Omar?
Abigail Beeman in Nuuk, Greenland tonight. Chinese authorities have overturned the death sentence of a Canadian detained on drug charges. Robert Schellenberg was convicted of drug trafficking and sentenced to death in 2019. The news comes just weeks after the Prime Minister visited China to bolster diplomatic relations. Donald Trump shared and then removed a racist video depicting Barack and Michelle Obama as apes. The post was made on Trump's Truth Social account, the White House telling NBC News it was, quote, posted erroneously by a staffer. But at first, White House spokesperson Carolyn Leavitt defended the post, saying it was from an internet meme and calling the response, quote, fake outrage. But some of that outrage came from Republicans. Senator Tim Scott posting, praying it was fake because it's the most racist thing I've seen out of the White House. 3 police officers from Peel Region outside Toronto have been removed from active duty in connection with a corruption investigation where 7 current Toronto police officers and 1 former officer are among the suspects. And Constable Timothy Barnhart, one of the Toronto police officers accused of leaking confidential information to criminals to help facilitate targeted shootings, was denied bail today.
In my 35 years, this is, an incredibly challenging and disappointing moment. To have these kind of allegations surface. And, as I thought about it over the months, I've gone from disappointed to angry.
Toronto's police chief wants an independent review to scrutinize how the service is run, from supervision to internal controls. The criminal charges against the officers include conspiracy to commit murder, bribery, drug trafficking, and leaking confidential data to criminal networks. Coming up,
manufacturing is still suffering job losses.
Where Canada's bleeding jobs and what's sparking the losses. We are getting a new snapshot of Canada's unemployment picture tonight. Nearly 25,000 positions were lost last month, with the jobless rate dipping to 6.5%. Here's CTV's Heather Wright on where jobs are disappearing to and what's driving the losses.
The hits keep coming for manufacturing, especially in Ontario, the province which saw the largest number of job losses last month, according to Statistics Canada. Overall, Canada's economy lost nearly 25,000 jobs in January, while the unemployment rate fell to 6.5%, a result of fewer people looking for work. And while Alberta, Saskatchewan, as well as Newfoundland and Labrador all gained jobs, Ontario was hit hard, losing a whopping 67,000 last month. That includes roughly 1,200 workers at the General Motors plant in Oshawa, Ontario, where last week the company cut 1 of its 3 shifts.
I think we're seeing it in the sectors that we were expecting to see. For example, manufacturing is still suffering job losses, and we're starting to see public administration jobs in public administration decline, and those impacts obviously more centered in Ontario.
Economists say the report is not all bad news, as the majority of job losses were in part-time roles, while the number of full-time positions rose. Youth unemployment also dropped slightly after reaching all-time highs last year. But underlying this jobs report is persistent uncertainty in an economy that is not shrinking but not growing much either.
Canada's economy probably has avoided a recession, but it's still growing very modestly, and it's really struggling to get ahead of this trade war because of the ongoing uncertainty tied to trade policies.
With CUSMA, the free trade agreement with the United States and Mexico, up for review this year, many businesses holding off on hiring and investing, waiting to see the outcome of those trade talks. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Still ahead, why the voice of the Blue Jays is hanging up his microphone. Longtime Toronto Blue Jays broadcaster Buck Martinez has announced his retirement after 40 years with the franchise.
Thank you very much.
Martinez says he and his wife decided after the World Series that it was time to step out of the booth and enjoy the years ahead. The 77-year-old's career with the Blue Jays began in 1981 as a player and included the famous broken leg double play in 1985.
Blue Jays catcher Buck Martinez breaking his leg in a home plate collision with Phil Bradley of Seattle.
He went on to manage the Blue Jays from 2001 to 2002 and then became the legendary voice of the franchise for multiple decades. One of the biggest sporting events around happens this weekend, but for a lot of people, the big draw of the Super Bowl isn't the game, but rather the halftime show. This year, Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny performs. He spoke about how it's all happening in the middle of a whirlwind of success.
I'm still at middle of my tour. I just was at the Grammys last week.
At those Grammys, Bad Bunny took home 3 awards. Still ahead, why the battle on the plains of Abraham still teaches us lessons hundreds of years later. The uncertainty facing Canada in the face of growing internal and external threats to sovereignty has sparked a renewed interest in our history. We paid a visit to the Plains of Abraham and called on a historian dressed in traditional Quebec snowshoeing garb and asked him what the past can teach us about the present and the future.
When you walk this land, Luc, do you feel the weight of history?
You have to. You have to. It's a battlefield. Battlefields always are these hallowed grounds, right? These special places, very special.
Special, because what happened here on the Plains of Abraham in 1759 would ultimately shape who we are as a people.
A very good soldier could probably load it in about 15 seconds.
Fought with muskets and muscle, the battle lasted less than 20 minutes, took the lives of the generals on both sides, Wolfe and Montcalm. It ultimately ended in victory for the British, even as it signaled a new battle for the French to keep their culture, and for the First Nations who supported them, a fight to preserve their role in history.
So the French population, this is a huge trauma, what happened here. This was important. This was losing the colonial authorities. This was, in the first year, it was even losing their religion and language. Then again, it's important because we have to understand that for other people, for example, for English-speaking Canadians, it might be the beginning of, something here, the beginning of kind of like this continuation of this British colonial empire in North America that leads to Canada.
Nearly 3 centuries later, the continuing commitment and quest to preserve those identities, while at times imperfect, he says, is a window into what makes Canada.
It's understanding one another in the end, right? You have to, live and find compromise.
What example do you think it sets for the rest of the world?
That it's possible to move forward. It's possible to move forward with after conflict. And it's not going to be easy. And reflecting on the harshness and the hardships that go into entertaining or keeping such a relationship, well, are numerous. We still have many of these today. But then again, you can have conversations about that. And it doesn't mean that you cannot work to a common goal.
And that's a snapshot of this Friday from Quebec City. Thank you to Carnaval and, of course, Bonhomme for being such great hosts. Morella will be with you tomorrow. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Good night and have a great weekend.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.